Okay, can you introduce yourself and your recent project, whatever you are working on?
Yeah, sure. So I have around 2.1 years of experience as a Java backend developer. So primarily I am working on Java, Spring Boot and microservices architecture. And also I have been involved in developing and maintaining a scalable RESTful services and handling business logic and integrating with various internal external systems. And in my current project I am working in the banking domain, so specifically in the payment and transactions processing area. So my role mostly involves in the working on transaction validation and enrichment and routing workflows across the different regions. And I also contributed to improving the system performance, fixing production issues, and also like maintaining enhancements based on the business requirements. So apart from this, I also have the experience on Maven, Git, REST APIs, and also like little bit of from the code deployment side also. So yeah, this is what is all about myself and about my current project.
Okay, so can you explain your project in more detail? Like who all are you, the end users, and what does your application do?
Yeah, sure. So my project is in banking domain, as I told you. So it is mostly focused on the payment and transaction processing. So the application it handles basically the end-to-end life cycle of transactions, and starting from the receiving payments request to the validating, enriching, and routing and updating their status. So everything we do here, and it performs various checks like data validation, compliance rules, and business validation before routing transaction to the appropriate downstream. So it also supports exception handling where valid only transactions are we are transact, and wherever it is failed or flagged transactions are there, then we review and reprocess it. So the primary and end users of these applications are internal banking teams such as like operations, compliance and risk team, and they use the system to monitor transaction status and handle exception, and they also ensure that all transactions meet regulatory requirements. And also additionally, some of our services are exposed as APIs which are like used by upstream system like customer onboarding platforms or external payment gateways. So yeah, so overall like application like our application helps in automating transaction processing and also reduce the all kind of manual efforts. So yeah, so ultimately it ensures the faster and compliant payment processing across the regions. So yeah.
Okay, so if your transactions fail midway, then how are you ensuring the data consistency?
So in our system, like ensuring data inconsistency is like consistency is very important. So especially because we are dealing with the financial transactions, and if the transactions fails midway, then we handle it using the combination of approaches. So that basically depends on the flow. There is not one single straightforward way. So first, like at the database level, we used transactions with proper rollback mechanism. So if something fails within a single service, then the transaction gets rolled back and no partial data is saved. But since we are using microservices for cross service communication, we follow an eventual consistency approach. So in such cases we use patterns like saga. Okay, so if one service fails, then compensating transactions are triggered to undo the changes done by the previous services. So all of things will be the rollback. So we also like maintain proper status fields for each transaction. Like suppose we have various transactions states like initiated, processing, failed, success and all, so that we can track like incomplete or failed transactions and reprocess them if it is required. Okay, so and apart from that, additionally we use idempotency keys to avoid duplicate processing in case of retries. And when we have retry mechanism with proper logging and monitoring to identify and fix failures, so we do that like doing all those retries. We are try to fix that. So yeah, so overall by combining database transaction, Sega-based pattern and like retries and like a kind of proper tracking. So by combination of all these, we ensure that the data consistency, even if a transaction fails midway, then the data consistency is there. So yeah, so
Okay, so can you tell me what is idempotency?
yeah, idempotency is basically like we can say like it is a concept where like performing the same operation multiple times that still gives the same result like kind of when we had performed it the first time, so result will not change. Okay, in simple terms, even if we uh, request is repeated, so due to retry or something, it should not create any kind of duplicative. So that is what is idempotency. So suppose for example we have any API and we are making a payment of let's say rupees 100, and API is not idempotent, then two times it will deduct like 200 rupees may be deducted. But if API is idempotent, then even if we hit multiple times, then still like 100 only 100 rupees will be deducted, in the that some time frame or at some again it depends like we for that 100 rupees we are initiating from the beginning or from which point we are initiating. So that's what is idempotency. So we usually use idempotency key like client sends a unique ID with the request and server stores it with the transaction, and if the same request comes again, then the server detects duplicate and returns the same response instead of processing it again. So that is how we do it in the API level. So yeah, so that's what is idempotency.
And how about with respect to HTTP requests?
Yeah, HTTP request also like we have get operation, right? So get is actually idempotent. Get, put, and delete. So all these three are idempotent, but post is not idempotent. Okay, because whenever we are trying to get any data, so any number of times we get it, so it won't impact anything in the database. Okay, and similarly, if we are doing put any like put means some we are trying to update some data. Okay, so if we update it multiple times also that same data will be updated, it won't make any change. And delete also, like suppose we delete some like 2 rows or 3 rows, and every time we are trying to delete those 2 3 rows, so it won't delete anything extra. Okay, but suppose if it is the post request and we are trying to create multiple posts, then it may create like multiple entries into the database, so that is not idempotent. So yeah, so that's the difference between like this post and remaining like get, put, and delete, which is idempotent. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the latest version of Java you have worked on?
Yeah, I have worked on till Java 21.
Okay, can you tell me what problem do Lambda expressions solve?
Lambda, yeah, so Lambda expression like they were introduced to reduce the boilerplate code and simplify the implementation of functional interfaces. So before Java 8, we had to create anonymous inner classes and even for a small piece of logic also. So that made the code like kind of more harder to read. So, but with Lambda expression, we can write the same logic in much more concise and expressive way. So, often in a single line, we can write that. So, this basically improves the code readability and maintainability, and they also enable a more functional programming style in Java, and it allows us to pass like behavior as parameters. So that can especially be useful when working with collections and the stream APIs. So yeah, so overall Lambda expression help in writing the cleaner and more efficient and less error prone code by reducing the like unnecessary syntaxes. So yeah, so that's the advantage of using it.
Okay, so can Lambda access local variables?
Yeah, Lambda expression can access local variables, but only if those variables are final or like kind of effectively final. Okay, so effectively final means the variable value is assigned only once and not modified afterwards. So that is the meaning of it. So even if the final keyword is not explicitly used, then also we can say like it is effectively final. So only these are the two cases when like it can be used. So this restriction basically exists because the Lambda expression internally captures the variables by value rather than by the reference. So yeah, so allowing modification could lead to issues. So especially in concurrent or multi-threaded environment. So Java basically enforces this rule to maintain the consistency and avoid any kind of unexpected behavior. So yeah.
Okay, can you tell me how are Lambda expressions implemented internally in Java? Any idea?
Yeah, I have some idea, but like Lambda expressions are implemented using, I think, invoke dynamic instruction instead of creating a separate class like anonymous inner class. So that's the difference. And the compiler then converts the Lambda into a kind of a synthetic method, and at runtime that converts it. And the JVM uses like I think Lambda meta factory to create an instance of the functional interface dynamically. So that is how this Lambda expression implemented internally, and that ultimately makes the Lambda more kind of lightweight and memory efficient and faster. So yeah, so that is what it is done internally, and it is how I mean it is different from the anonymous inner class. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me what is a stream API?
Yeah, stream API in Java is like that is used to process collections of a data in a functional and declarative way. So it basically allows us to perform operations like filtering, mapping, sorting, and aggregation on data without modifying the original collection. So that's what is the Stream API, and also Stream supports like lazy evaluation. So that means that operations are executed only when a terminal operations like collect for each is called, and we also have like parallel processing in that, so that makes it easier to write efficient and scalable code. So that's what is the like kind of Stream API.
Okay, so can you tell me what happens if you don't use the terminal operations in the stream?
If we don't use terminal operation,
Yes.
yeah, if we don't use terminal operation, then I think nothing actually executes. So like stream operations, like we have map, filter, and all, so they are lazy. So that means that they only build a pipeline but do not process any data until a terminal operations like collect or for each or find first, anything like that is called. So I think without terminal operations, I don't think any kind of computation will happen, and there will be no data processing. And since it is lazy also, so I think nothing will happen. So yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me when should you use parallel stream and when you should not use it?
Yeah, we should use parallel stream when we have large data sets or operations are CPU intensive, like any kind of complex calculations are there, and also tasks are independent and stateless. So kind of no shared mutable state is there. And also if you want to leverage multi-core processors for better performance, so in that case we should use a parallel stream, and we can avoid it whenever like data set is kind of a small, and also operations involve like kind of input output or any kind of DB calls are there, so those things are there, so we should not use. And also we need any ordered results, or we don't want to break any kind of order, so because parallel may break the order unless like it is handled properly. So yeah, so these are the I think scenarios are there when we should not use parallel stream.
Okay, so can you tell me when we should use map and when we should use flat map?
Yeah, we can use map when we want to like one-to-one transformation kind of, and we have like let's say we have list of a string and that we want to convert to list of integer kind of. Okay, so in that case we can simply use like map. Okay, so each input produces exactly one output. Okay, so if the number of input will be, let's say list of a string will be like 10, then again the output will be also like list of integer, and then it will be 10. Okay, so that is like kind of we are converting it, but like keeping the same number of inputs we have, and also there is no nested structure. And flat map we can use when like each input produces multiple values, or it has kind of one too many. Okay, so like we have let's say list of strings, and that we want to convert to list of strings. So in that case, we can use flat map. So it basically flattens the nested structure, so we can say, and it handles the nested collection and it merges the multiple stream into one. So that is the use of the flat map. So yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me why was new date time API has been introduced?
So like old classes, like they had date and calendar, so they were mutable and they were not thread safe, and also the because of that it often used to had many bugs, and they also had the poor time zone handling and inconsistent design. But Java 8 introduced the java.time package, and that API has been introduced, so which is immutable basically, and also it is thread safe and more kind of a structured. It ultimately separates the date time and the time zone clearly, and it provides the better methods for the form. So like whenever we had old, then suppose like we used to write like date equal to new date and date dot set date, anything we were doing. So ultimately it was going to modify the original object itself. But in the new API, like when we use, like let's say local date, okay, and we say local date dot now, so it will give the current object, and then again when we say this object dot, maybe let's say with day of month, that method is there. So and when we give that, then it will create a new object, it won't modify the previous yeah. So that's the main difference.
Okay, so can you tell me why is string immutable in Java?
Yeah, string is immutable in Java because of mainly I think because of security and thread safety and performance reason. Because since string are widely used in critical areas like class loading and then file paths, database URLs and network connection and all. So that is why I think they have been made as immutable, and basically it ensures that their values cannot be changed once created, and it prevents in security vulnerabilities and all, right? So it also makes string inherently thread safe, and multiple threads can access the same string instance without synchronization. So yeah, so from a performance perspective, immutability allows string pooling in the string constant pool, so that helps to save memory by reusing existing object, and additionally the hash code of the string is also cached, so that makes it efficient when used as keys in the collections like hash. So yeah, so these are the advantages of making the string as immutable.
Okay, and can you tell me what will be the output if we have, let's say, string s1 equal to abc and again we have string s2 equal to abc? Okay, so if we have this s1 equal to abc and s2 equal to abc and we say s1 double equal to s2, so what will be the output of it? Will it be true, false? What will be that?
uh, since we are saying string s1 equal to abc and s2 equal to abc, so I think it will be true.
Okay, and why so?
Yeah, so as soon as we say string s1 equal to abc, I mean in the double quotes basically, so like it will be stored in string constant pool. So when s1 is created, then object goes into the pool. Okay, and when s2 is created, then JVM ensures that the same object from the pool like being referenced. So that is how it happens in case of constant pool, and both s1 and s2 point to the same memory location. Okay, so whenever we are doing s1 double equal to s2, then like it checks the reference basically, not the value, so it returns the same. Yeah.
And how about if we have a new string of ABC and like if we have s1 equal to new string of ABC and s2 equal to again new string of ABC. So in that case, will it be true or false if we say s1 double equal to s2?
Yeah, so in this case it will be false. Whenever we are using new of a string, then it will be false, because whenever we are saying new of a string, then it will not create into the heap, but sorry, it will not create into the constant pool, but it will create to the heap memory. Okay, so even though ABC is already there in the string pool, but new forces the new memory allocation. So S1 is kind of different object and S2 is also kind of different object. So double equal to compares only the reference, and since both are different, so it will be false.
Okay, and how about if we say s1 dot equals s2?
Yeah, if you say equals, then it will compare the values. So it will be true in this case.
Okay, so can you tell me, can we have main method without a static?
No, the main method must be static because JVM calls it without creating an object of the class. So if it is will not be static, then I mean we cannot JVM cannot call it. Okay, so since the static methods belong to the class rather than an instance, so JVM can directly invoke main using the class name. So, like if it was non-static, then JVM would first need to create an object, and then with its not like kind of it is not designed to do that, right? To start up the phase of the program. So yeah,
And can you tell me why constructors cannot be final?
constructors. Yeah, it cannot be final because they are not inherited by subclasses. So basically, the purpose of final is to like kind of prevent method overriding. So but since constructors are never overridden, so only like they're kind of called by a super method only, so marking them as final has like kind of no meaning. So therefore Java does not allow constructors to be declared as final. So yeah,
Can we override private methods?
private methods, no, private methods I don't think it can be overridden because they are not visible to subclasses. So since like overriding requires method visibility in the child class, so private methods are treated as completely separate methods. So if a subclass defines a method with the same name, then it is not overriding but creating like kind of a new method. So yeah, so actually it cannot be overridden.
Okay. And what happens if an exception is not handled? So what will happen?
Yeah, if exception is not handled using like a try catch or declared using throws, so these are two ways basically we can handle it. So if it is not handled, then it is handled by the JVM's default exception handler. Okay, so like the JVM prints the exception message along with the stack trace and then terminates the program abruptly. So if we are not doing that, then it will be done at the JVM level. So basically this can lead to kind of unexpected application failure. So it's kind of advised to have the proper exception handling and maintain the application the stability and I mean it is advisable to do that by the coder itself, not to be dependent on the JVM itself. So yeah.
Okay, so in HashMap, can you tell me why HashMap allows one null key but not multiple null keys?
Hash map allows one null key because internally it uses hash code, and for null key the hash is always treated as 0. Okay, so it always maps to the same bucket. So if we try to insert another null key, then it will override the previous values instead of creating a new entry. So yeah, so also since keys must be unique in a hash map, so only one null key is allowed but multiple null values are permitted. So yeah, so that is why like hash map allows only one null key but not multiple.
Okay, and can we synchronize a static method?
uh, yes, we can synchronize a static method. When a static method is synchronized, then the lock is acquired on the class object, so like instead of the instance. Okay, so that basically ensures that the only one threads are executed that execute that static method across all instance of the class at a time. So that makes it kind of useful for shared static resources. So yeah, so that is how we can synchronize.
And also, can you tell me why wait notify are in object and not in the thread? So they are not the part of thread.
Yeah, so basically wait, notify and notify all. So that are related to the object level locking, not thread level execution. So like because every object in the Java has an intrinsic lock, and these methods operate on that lock itself. Okay, so that's why they are kind of defined in the object class. So threads use these methods to communicate about the availability of the shared resources by acquiring the releasing the object locks, and but yeah, but they are the part of the object only.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the difference between hash map and concurrent hash map?
Yeah, hash map is not thread safe and concurrent hash map is thread safe. That is the one main difference. And concurrent hash map uses segment level logging, or like kind of and concurrent hash map does not allow null keys or values. So that's the difference between these two.
Okay, and what is load factor in hash map?
Load factor basically determines like when hash map resizes. So that's the use of load factor. So the default is 0.75. Okay, so when capacity into load factor is reached, then the map resizes, like that can basically reshapes itself, and that can basically impact the performance also. So yeah, so at the some certain level it resizes it.
Can you tell me why set does not allow duplicates?
Yeah, the purpose of set itself is like that uses the hash code, okay, and equals to ensure the uniqueness. So that is how set is built up. So if both matches with the existing element, then the new element is not added. So behind the scenes, since we are using a hash code and equals, so that is why I think set is kind of makes its values as it. Yeah.
Okay, so in Spring Boot, can you tell me what are Spring Boot starters?
Yeah, Spring Boot like starters are like it is kind of pre-configured dependency that builds like that bundles the that simplify the dependency management. So for example, we have a Spring Boot starter, web security and all. So basically they eliminate the need to manually configure the multiple dependencies. So yeah, so that is what is the Spring Boot starters.
Okay, and suppose if you want to exclude any dependency from that starter, so how would you do that?
Yeah, so for that suppose if we are using Maven, then in pom.xml like we can add like exclusion tag, and under that we can just like give like suppose if you want to remove tomcat, then we can give there, so it will exclude that from there. That is how we can do that.
So what is a dependency injection? Just in very short.
Yeah, so it is a design pattern, so where objects receive their dependencies from the container instead of creating them. So it promotes like kind of loose coupling, and it is kind of easier to testing. So that's it, what is the dependency injection basically.
Okay, so can you tell me what is Spring Boot application annotation?
Yeah, Spring Boot application annotation is a like we can say convenience annotation that combines add configuration and add enable auto configuration and add component scan. So it is the combination of these three further annotations. So it marks the main class and it triggers the auto configuration and component scanning. So yeah, so in real scenarios, placing these annotations at the root package, so that it basically ensures like all sub packages are scanned automatically. So yeah, so that is what is the Spring Boot application annotation.
Okay. And what if the component is outside of the base package? Then how would you scan that?
For a scanning purpose, I think we can use added component scan, and I think after that in the bracket we can give base packages, and we can give that specific paths like where the wherever it is outside. So that package then we can give there. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me what is bean lifecycle?
Yeah, Spring manages been through a life cycle that includes instantiation, dependency injection, initialization, and destruction. Okay, so we can hook into these life cycle using like kind of we have annotations like add data post construct and add data pre-destroy. And in production system, like it is very much useful for initializing and resources like DB connections, or if you want to clean up the resource during the shutdown, then we can use it. So yeah, so this is very much like useful. But yeah, so these are the bean life cycles we have.
Okay, and can you tell me, does Spring manages the prototype bean destruction?
No, only singleton beans are fully managed.
And can you tell me what is at the rate of rest controller annotation?
Yeah, added a REST controller is used to create RESTful APIs and automatically converts the response into JSON using Jackson package, and it combines the add controller and add response body basically. And in microservices, we use it to expose APIs that communicate with each other services or UI. So yeah, this is what is the REST at the rate of REST controller. So basically, we put this on top of the class.
And what is Spring profiles?
Yeah, Spring profiles basically allows us to define environment specific configuration. Like we can have various environments, right? We can have dev, test, production, and all. So, like in our project, I have used profiles to separate the database configuration basically. So whenever we are into dev environment, then we were using the dev environment databases or logging levels also. So that is why we use different Spring profiles. So yeah, so we can also give the like properties and YAML file. So for the different, if we have dev, then we can assign some different YAML or properties file for the dev related configurations. And if it is like production, then we can give production related, or if it is test, like we can accordingly we can give the all the configurations to the in the related so yeah, so that is what is the Spring profiles.
What is Spring Boot actuator?
Actuator basically provides like production ready features like health checks, metrics, environment info and application. So in microservices we use actuator endpoint like forward slash health and metrics. So these we can use for monitoring and integrating with tools like Prometheus. So yeah, so that is why like that is how we use.
Okay, so can we control these actuator endpoints?
Yeah, actually actuator endpoints can be controlled using the configuration properties and security mechanism. So by default, like only a few endpoints like health and info are exposed. So we can explicitly include or exclude endpoints using the properties like uh, I think endpoints web exposure, something like that is there. So and dot include will be there in the end, so that we can use like I think management dot endpoint dot web dot exposure dot include, so that we can use to include or exclude endpoints. So in real projects we usually expose only required endpoints to avoid any kind of security risk. So yeah, so additionally we can secure these endpoints using the Spring security by restricting access based on rules also. Yeah, so we can also change the base path of the actuator endpoint and even disable the specific endpoint entirely. So yeah, so that is how we can do that.
And how we do that is Spring security? Do you know how we do that?
Yeah, like we have I think ant matchers we use for that. So like request matchers we have, then like whatever the path we want to allow, let's say any specific path, let's say health is there, okay, so we only want health to be allowed for all, but for others if it is actuator and apart from health any other URL is there, for that suppose we want only admin to have the access, in that case we can just say like kind of request matcher and then actuator forward slash health, and then we can say permit all, so it will give the access to all of the user, any user. But whenever suppose actuator and then I think anything after that means a star star, and then wherever we say has role admin, it means only admin can access the other of the URLs. So that is how we can control using
So where do we write this Spring Security?
yeah, we write a Spring Security configuration in a configuration class. Usually we will be having the notations like address of configuration and address of enable web security. So this class is basically responsible for defining the control for endpoints. So in Spring, I think 2.x we usually extend, I think, web security configure adapter, and from the 3 version there is something Spring security filter chain. There we can just, after extending that, we will be having automatically we can override method will be there, so that is configure method will decide that this ant
Okay,
matchers
so
will
can
be
you
there.
tell me what is service discovery?
Yeah, service discovery basically allows microservices to dynamically find and communicate with each other without hard coding URLs. So tools like we have Eureka so that can register the services and maintain their instances. And in dynamic cloud environment, where services scale up or down, that is kind of critical for a reliable
And what
communication.
is API gateway?
Yeah, API gateway basically acts as a like single entry point for all client requests, and it routes them to appropriate microservices, and it also handles like cross-cutting concerns like authentication, logging, rate limiting, and request aggregation. So in our project, we have used API gateway to centralize security and complexity on client.
And what is circuit breaker?
Yeah, circuit breaker is a design pattern used to prevent cascading failures in microservices. So, like if a, let's say, service is failing repeatedly, then the circuit opens and stops further calls temporarily, and that allows the system to recover and prevents. And yeah, so we implemented this using the resilience 4J.
So what are its states?
Circuit breaker, yeah, so I think we have open closed, and I think half open is also.
Okay.
So what is this half open state? Yeah, half open state is transitional state between open and closed basically. So when the circuit breaker is in open state, then all requests are blocked because the service is considered failed. So after a certain timeout, instead of directly allowing all traffic again, so the circuit breaker moves to half open. So in this state, only limited number of requests are allowed to pass through to the downstream service. So these requests act like kind of test or check to see whether the service has recovered or not. So that is why we say instead. Now based on the result, if the request is success, then the circuit moves to the closed state. So like kind of normal operation resumes from here onwards. And if the request fails, then the circuit again like goes back to open state, so that blocks the traffic again. Yeah, so half open basically means that kind of it is trial or testing
So
mode.
do you know what is bulkhead pattern?
Yeah, bulkhead pattern is a fault isolation design pattern that is used in microservices to limit the impact of failures by dividing a system into independent compartments like sections in a ship. So if one compartment kind of